got a groovy kind of love.
Slow down, you move too fast. You got to make the morning last. Just kicking down cobblestone, looking for fun and feeling groovy. Hi, everybody. It's Cynthia, and I'm with my good friend, Victoria. Hi, Victoria.
Hey, Cindy. Hi, everybody.
Hi. Victoria is going to start teaching classes. And she asked me a little while ago, she said, so you always say you like what comes out of my mouth. What is that? Because sometimes when we are offering our wisdom or offering what we know to people, we don't know how it's coming across, being received, right? And I'm always saying, man, I love what comes out of your mouth, Victoria. And so this led us into perspective, seeing things with new perspectives. And that's what I told her. I said, Victoria, you always offer a new perspective on things. That is very interesting. This is one of the reasons I find you so interesting, is because you do this. So let's talk about that, about new perspectives on life and how we can view just about anything. So I like to start with something that we were talking about a couple minutes ago. Two people go to lunch in a restaurant. You're at the same table. You're having the same conversation, but they're both having totally different experiences because one might be facing the front door watching people come in, and the other might be facing, for instance, the kitchen or where the food's coming out and watching people coming out with their food and being served. So your perspectives are different, even though you're having a mutual experience.
Right. Yeah. And what we were saying is that both perspectives are completely valid.
Exactly.
And then I find that, and that's what's so fascinating about what's happening on our planet, is that people really think their way is the only way. And it's impossible for their way to be the only way because their way is just the way they're seeing it.
Sure. Exactly.
And so all perspectives are valid. And it's just, and you and I have had this conversation before with what Yeshua meant when he said, turn the other cheek. It wasn't to turn the other cheek so it can get slapped. He was saying, turn and look from another perspective. If you take the time to turn and go, oh, I see what you're talking about over there.
Exactly. Well, like,
right? And so there's like, oh, I get it. I see why you see things that way. Well, and then we suddenly have this entire expanded understanding of what's really going on. As long as we think the world is only from our perspective, we're missing 90% of the show.
Exactly, because we don't have eyes on the back of our head. Going back to what the lunch thing is.
We pretend we do.
We pretend we do. We think we know everything that's going on, but in essence, we only know from our, right here. That's that's our reality right now. The scenery is completely different.
Well, you know what that's reminding me of? It's reminding me of, I think this is the very first time we met. We met and we were standing in Redondo Beach, and we were, and I said, Cindy, let's face this direction, right? What do you see when you look this direction? And you said, I see the ocean and I see the sunset and the water and the beach, right? And I said, well, turn and look to your left. Or wait, I said, first turn and look to your right. What do you see? Oh, well, over here, I see Malibu and I see Santa Monica. Great. Do you see any of the other stuff? No. Now turn and look to the left. What do you see when you look over there? Oh, I see Palos Verdes and I see the lighthouse and the hill and the great. But then when you're only looking this way, you don't see any of this. Come back to center. And that's when you said, oh my gosh, now I get it. So if you're someone who was only conservative, only right, all you're going to see what's over here on the right. If you're someone who's only liberal and only left, all you're going to see is what's over here on the left. But if we come back to center, stay grounded in the center, in this loving place of centeredness, then we can just look and see the entire view and then come back to neutrality.
Exactly.
That's where we need to be, is holding neutrality
Yes.
within ourselves and understanding that all of the perspectives are correct.
Exactly. Exactly. On everything.
In everything.
On
Not just
everything.
politics. I'm just using right, left because it's such a common term people are throwing around
These
right now.
days, for sure.
Yeah.
These days, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just part of the current conversation, which I don't do. I don't do politics. I don't do sides. And the reason I don't do sides is because I'm not here to choose sides. I'm here to teach people how to hold the neutrality. When we do, it takes the charge out of everything, and we can hold in the space of conscious neutral observer. The issue is people get so charged up about what their opinion is that they can't remain in the space of conscious neutral observer. And they get so charged up about what they believe, they can't possibly see how anyone else can believe differently. We gotta get over that ridiculousness. We're not going to be able to create the new earth, all of us. Whatever side you happen to be on, we all want exactly the same thing. We all want exactly the same thing. There might be a few fringe on the far right that don't want the same thing, and a few fringe on the far left that don't want the same thing. But most of humanity wants exactly the same thing.
Peace.
Peace, love, harmony. They want a safe place to raise their kids. They want to be able to send their children out to play and know that they're safe. They want a good education for their children. They want to feel secure. They want their to know that when they get older, they're going to be okay. They want to know that they're going to be healthy, and that we all want the same thing. There are a lot of perspectives about how we arrive at that, but ultimately we all want exactly the same thing. So instead of all this separation of you and you and you and you and you, and oh, my idea is the only one that counts. My way is the only way. I mean, how ridiculous is that? You know, and if it's really interesting, one of the conversations I noticed yesterday, and it came up again this morning, is that this whole belief of my way is the only way. What people don't understand is that's one of the principles behind the dark side, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus actually didn't say that. It's the dark side that took over his teachings that said he said that. And people
said what?
His way is the only way.
Oh, yes.
God doesn't work that way.
No.
There are 8 billion of us. There are 8 billion different paths to God. That if we go back to this, one of the creation stories of how God and Lucifer, or Jesus and Lucifer, fought over the rights to the human experience, and Lucifer said, well, I think there should only be one way. And Jesus, Yeshua, said, well, I think human beings deserve freedom of choice. So we come back to this narrative of my way is the only way is exactly the opposite of freedom of choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we got to remember that we all incarnated to experience freedom of choice. There is no one right way. There's only what's best in my particular path.
Yes.
And when I hold the neutrality, knowing this is what's the best path and the best choice for me, that allows other people to make the choices that are best for them. And when we hold in that loving, that opens up the space for other people to make better choices. Instead of having their choices forced on them and shoved down their throat or told, you got to do it my way or else, which is a fear-based belief. You know, I call that fear disguised as love because it's a narrative that's woven into all of our religiosities and our politics and all of it. That's a fear-based belief. If then is based in fear. So if we come back to being just a conscious neutral observer, we then can make conscious loving choices for ourselves and create an environment for other people to make conscious loving choices for themselves, rather than being forced into a way that deep down inside isn't what's best for them.
And it's always interesting to be able to see other people's perspectives and like viva la difference, because if you take the opposite of all the various thoughts, all the various cultures, all the various everything that we have, we might as well just be robots. Just robots, all programmed the same way, which is what I think is the mission of the dark side, is to program us the same way, to think the same thoughts. And if we don't think the thought they want us to think, then we get punished and might even not survive. It might not even survive. And that is completely taking away the freedom of the soul. And our soul is having this human experience to discover itself. And when the mind gets in the way of that discovery because it's programmed to do something else. Right now, I keep thinking of the movie, The Stepford Wives. Remember that movie back? It's an old movie, but you know, there's something to that. The Stepford Wives was a movie about women who became exactly what their husband would like. Honey, what would you like for dinner tonight? And they were all dressed beautifully, and then they get together in their little wife circles and, what are you fixing for dinner tonight? Oh, you must give me that recipe, that kind of thing. That's not.
No, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. I'll have to go back and watch it.
Catherine Ross starred in that movie, and it's a movie about the women being completely programmed to be the perfect wife. They all had perfect hair, perfect makeup, perfect outfits. Their children were perfect, all of that. And it was all being programmed. And when that happens, it takes out emotion. And which yesterday you and I were talking about, emotion is energy plus motion is emotion. And we are emotional beings. That's what we are. The human is an emotional being. And that kind of energy of emotion also transmits to our domestic animals, our dogs and our cats and all of that. Yes.
Even the plants feel it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I heard something really interesting. I heard that they did an experiment with plants. A man thought he put a lie detector on plants to measure the emotion in plants. And it was very effective. So they took plants that were healthy, and they brought in a plant and started tearing the leaves off of it, and all the energy and all the other plants went down. Isn't that interesting? So all living things react to negativity or destruction. And I think that's what is happening right now, Victoria, is we have not been aware of the negativity and the destruction and the violation that has been going on planet Earth in secret. And now we are. And now there's all kinds of perspectives, because a lot of people are still stuck in the old paradigm. And then people like yourself and I that want to get the word out. Oh no, this is not the reality, what's going on here. We need to fix this. And we can fix this. We have the power to fix this if we come together. I've always liked the term United States. United.
I don't even know what that means. You know what's interesting? I wanted to share really quick what I was hearing, because you know I get downloads all the time too. When you said we have the power, yes. What came in was that scene from The Wizard of Oz. You've always had the power, dear one. This is what people don't realize. We have always had the power.
We've always had the power.
We've just never known it.
No, but you know, when you,
And it, well, and this is part of it, that so I actually wrote something about this morning, and
oh, good.
I don't know, in one of the Mary. So I'll take a post, and then I post it on my Telegram group, and I post it on my Facebook group, and now I post on my Truth Social group. It's all the same little post, right? And then sometimes I'll do an entire video around it. And what I was sharing this morning is that all of us, we all have the power. We all have the power of God in every single one of us. We've just always been told that we're separate from it, or that we need a leader to do the work for us. It's always been us.
It's always been us.
We have always had the power. It's just that now people are finally starting to grasp that, oh, that's why we have this saying, we the people. Hello, we the people have the power. And how in the spiritual community, we've been saying for years, we're the ones we've been waiting for.
Yes.
Because again, it's we.
Yeah.
If it is to be, it is up to we.
Yes.
Right. And the power is in all of us. We are all the divine intervention we seek. And God is working through every single one of us. We just have to remember that inside of ourselves and stop giving our power away to everyone else.
Yes. Well said. Well said. I had a friend here yesterday. I told you about that. And she came in, she was totally broken. And I told her, I said, you're too busy trying to make everybody happy, and you're giving away your power, because they're kind of saying, well, that's not good enough. And that's not good enough. And you keep trying to prove your value. Oh, yeah. Well, what will make you happy? Oh, you want this? Oh, you want that? And I think a lot of women have been there. I've been there. You've been there. And I told her, I said, why don't you start letting people be responsible for their own happiness and work on yourself being happy?
Yeah.
And learn to say no. I remember there was a time when I'd go, I couldn't say the word.
Yeah. So that's reminding me. And actually, this is great you're saying that. So I'm writing another free gift for my website.
Oh, good.
I'm almost finished with this. So when you and I get off camera, I'm going to record all the videos that go with it. It's called Happiness Through Self-Love.
Okay.
So it's a little free course people can take when they come to my website. It's not quite ready. So I have the free book Rise Up right now for people. That's coming down. That's going to be a book that people will buy. I'm always creating a new free gift. Every couple of years, I create a new free gift for people.
Right.
So this one is Happiness Through Self-Love.
Oh,
and so
nice.
one, it's teaching people what self-love is, which is the opposite of what people think it is. It has nothing to do with arrogance and narcissism and all that. No. It's completely the opposite. It's about having a loving relationship with yourself and really understanding that when we have a loving relationship with ourselves, that is then how we spread that forward out to the rest of humanity. So, and that when we have a loving relationship with ourselves, happiness is here. We can't ever get it from anybody else. No. That the issue is that people think that they can find happiness from someone else, and that's impossible.
No, you can't.
It's always found in here. So anyway, I wanted to share that. And that the thing about giving our power away is that we do that. What a lot of people don't understand, again, I'm going to come full circle back to perspective again, right? Since this is what we're talking about. When we, rather than self-responsibility of owning the truth that this is my perspective, what people tend to do is they blame other people for their experiences. Yes. What happens when we blame other people for our experiences is that we actually give power to them.
Exactly.
So if we're going to take back our planet and really, again, this is about self-responsibility, which ultimately means the ability to respond. I am responsible for my perceptions and my perspectives of my experiences. Exactly. I'm taking back my power to own my perspectives and understand that they are just my perspectives. And so what a lot of people do is they give their power away by blaming everyone else for their circumstances. This is about taking back our power no longer blaming anybody else, coming back to the truth that is our perspective. And the best thing is we can change our perspectives like that.
Yes.
We can actually choose to see everything in our lives from a completely different perspective.
Differently. Exactly.
That new perspective is just as valid as the old one. Great thing is if we choose it from a new, more self-empowering perspective, it dismantles the old fear-based, disempowered perspective.
Exactly. And I learned yesterday in speaking to this girl that people are not ready for a new prescription necessarily. There is a time and it's fertile, and that they have fertile ground. And unfortunately, sometimes, a lot of times, that's when they've hit bottom.
Which it usually is. That's why I call it a holy shift moment, right? Or usually people have to get, like you said, bottom. They hit the very bottom, and then it's like, whoa! It wakes them up to, okay, I'm open to seeing from another perspective.
Exactly.
So how many people in 2020 got hit with that?
Yes.
That's why we're in the middle of a great awakening, because a lot of people hit rock bottom, woke them up, and now they're able to see from a new perspective. Exactly. Usually it requires that,
right.
Call it rock bottom or the spiritual 2x4 at the back of the head. There's something that rocks you enough that says, I got to choose something different in my life.
Exactly. So in closing here, first of all, I want to tell all of you, go to victoriareynolds.com, because she's on a mission to help many, many, many people to save the planet, like so many of us are. And she's very, very, very good. She has a lot of people who she's helped already and eager to help in the future. She offers consulting. So make sure you go to victoriareynolds.com and take advantage of those free gifts that she has. So in closing, Victoria, what would you like to tell everyone about perspective?
Perspective. Take off your blinders and be willing to look at everyone else's perspectives, and be willing to accept that your perspective might not be the one that's best for you.
Oh, good. Very good. Best for you. Doesn't mean we're not talking right or wrong. We're talking about
what's best for you personally.
What's best for you. Thank you, Victoria.
You're so welcome.
You always make me feel groovy. Thank you. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.